She dreamed of us, but he was dreaming of someone else. That's what dreams are for. They're the place where our hearts want to be, not necessarily where they are. Her dream was filled with light. She dreamed of two souls intertwined, of whispers in the dark and promises kept. She dreamed of a love that echoed through eternity, of laughter and joy, of a life well lived. Their love story was one of those epic romances, she thought, meant to inspire sonnets and symphonies. His eyes were her universe, she said, and in them she found solace and delight. She dreamed of forever with him, a future painted in vibrant hues. They had this connection, she believed, a bond that transcended time and space. It was a love she never wanted to wake up from. His reality, however, was a canvas painted in different colors. His heart belonged to another, a love that had captured his soul long before he ever met her. For him, the sun rose and set with her, his thoughts a constant refrain of her name. He loved her with a fierce intensity, a devotion that had taken root in the chambers of his heart. In her eyes he found his reflection, and in her arms he sought refuge. His world revolved around her, and without her it was incomplete. He had asked her hand in marriage, sealing their love with a kiss under a sky full of stars. And now he couldn't imagine his life without her by his side. He loved her so much that even his dreams were filled with her image. And she stood there in his dream, a stranger in his paradise, watching him hold her, whispering sweet nothings into her hair. A part of him, he knew, would always love her, cherish the memories they had made together. But his heart had chosen its path, and he couldn't bring himself to wake up from the dream he shared with his fiancée. She woke up in the morning, sunlight streaming through her window, illuminating the dust particles dancing in its rays. The dream still vivid in her mind, she reached out for him, only to find an empty space beside her. Disappointment, a fleeting visitor, tapped at her heart, but she quickly brushed it aside. This wasn't the first time he'd held her in his dream and whispered sweet nothings into her hair. He did it often, almost every night. And each time she woke up, the memory of his affection lingering like a phantom limb. It was a bitter-sweet torment, a reminder of what once was and could never be again. The memory of his touch, the echo of his laughter in her dreams, the fragrance of his presence that clung to her pillow. All of these were testaments to a love that had bloomed in the fertile fields of their hearts. Yet it was a love unrequited, a melody played on a silent string. He would come to her in her dreams, and when she reached for him, her fingers would grasp at air. And then the cruelest twist of fate. he would turn to her and smile, but it would be the smile of a stranger. In those moments, the boundaries between dream and reality blurred. She yearned to break free from the confines of wakefulness, to dive into the ocean of his dreams where their souls could dance together unapologetically. She wanted to lose herself in the labyrinth of his heart, to navigate the intricate passages of his thoughts, to swim in the depths of his being where only their love resided. She remembered the day they had met, the electric spark that had ignited between them, the stolen glances, the shy smiles, the hesitant touches. It had been a whirlwind romance, a symphony of emotions that had crescendoed into an overwhelming love. For a moment, she had believed that she had found her happily ever after. But then the harsh notes of reality had sounded, shattering the harmony of their love. He had told her gently, kindly, that his heart already belonged to another. And as the weight of his words settled upon her, she had crumbled, her dreams turning to dust in her mouth. He had apologized, his eyes filled with remorse, but apologies were like band-aids on broken bones. They couldn't mend the fractured pieces of her heart. As she grew older, the ache in her heart lessened, but the love she had for him only intensified. She learned to bury the pain, to hide the scars that his rejection had left on her soul. She built a life for herself, a testament to her resilience. A mosaic of achievements and experiences that masked the void in her heart. But he had remained a constant in her life, not physically, but emotionally, appearing in her dreams every night, holding her close, whispering sweet nothings into her hair. It was a torment and a blessing, a curse and a comfort all at once. Each dream was a reminder of what could have been, a whisper of a love that was destined to remain unspoken. There was this melody that played in her dreams, a haunting tune that resonated with the unspoken words of her heart. It was a song without lyrics, a composition of notes that spoke of a love that dared not speak its name. A lament for a dream that had been lost, but a dream that refused to die. She knew that he loved her. She could feel it in the warmth of his embrace in her dreams, in the sincerity of his apologies, in the haunted look in his eyes whenever he saw her. But he was torn between two loves, the one that had been and the one that was yet to be. One night she confronted him in her dream, tears streaming down her face, asking him why he led her on, why he made her dream of a love that could never be. And in that moment, his eyes, usually so full of mirth and affection, were clouded with pain. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "I love you." but my heart belongs to another." And with those words, he disappeared, leaving her in the cold abyss of her dreams, clutching at the empty space where he had been just a moment before. It was a heartbreaking realization, a truth that had been staring her in the face all along. He loved her, yes, but his love was a faded photograph, a relic of the past. He was dreaming of someone else, and that someone else was not her. When she woke up, the morning light seemed dimmer. The birdsong, once a cheerful melody, now sounded like a dirge. The world was in shades of gray, and the vibrant colors of her dreams seemed like a distant memory. As the years went by, his visits in her dreams became less frequent. The melody changed, losing its haunting quality, becoming a soft, wistful tune. The love that had once burned brightly in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a deep, abiding sadness. One night he came to her in her dreams, but this time he wasn't the same. There was an oldness about him, a weariness in his eyes that tugged at her heartstrings. "I'm sorry," he whispered, his voice raspy with emotion. "I waited for you, but it's too late now. My time has run out." And with those words, he vanished, leaving her alone in the vast emptiness of her dreams. When she awoke, it was with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. The memory of his final words echoing in her ears. "My time has run out." Had he passed away? Was this their last goodbye? Days turned into weeks, and still she heard nothing from him. The melody that had once haunted her dreams now played softly in the background, a gentle reminder of a love that had been and was no more. Then one day she received a letter. It was from his son, a young man she had never met. He had heard about her from his parents. He wrote and wanted to know if she could forgive his father. For the love that had blossomed between them had been pure and true, he said, but it was a love that had been denied its chance to grow. With trembling hands, she wrote back, forgiving him not for their lost love, but for the love he had found. For in the end, he had chosen to be with the one his heart truly loved. And that was a love story worth cherishing, not envying. Years later, she read his obituary in the newspaper. He had died peacefully in his sleep, his beloved wife by his side. The words "beloved husband," "devoted father," brought a lump to her throat. She realized that his love for her had been real, but it had been the love of a different time, a love that had been destined to remain unspoken, a love that had found its solace in dreams, but had no place in the harsh glare of reality. She was left with a profound sense of melancholy, a feeling that echoed the bittersweet melody of their lost love. His absence was a void in her heart, but it was a void that was slowly being filled by the gentle light of acceptance and the warm glow of forgiveness. She had dreamed of forever with him, but sometimes forever means letting go, and that is what she had done.